Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, just looking forward towards the live stream. Just finished work, by the way. So yeah, just getting back into the swing of things. How's everyone doing today? Hey Eugene. Hey Jason. Thank you so much for the thank you all as well for the 45k subscribers. Someone's thinking of taking Murillo out for Timber. No, I don't think that makes any sense. Sorry. Murillo is just a very consistent, solid pick, especially even with the death cons, right? And yeah, I can't really see the value. Yes, of course, it's kind of enticing to have an Arsenal defender this week, but for the long term, Murillo is generally like a very, very sensible pick to have. I can't see why you'd want to sort of switch off of someone like Murillo right now. Sorry, I'm just quickly updating the description, the bio. But just if anyone actually wants to see suggested transfers and they're kind of in that spot of thinking if they want to go for a bit of a short term move and validating whether that move makes a lot of sense, have a look at the link in the description. You can kind of go to Fantasy Football Hub. The offer for 50% off extends up until the end of this month. So if you want to make decisions now, feel free to subscribe and get your suggested transfers as well. Anish, thank you so much for the super chat. Petrovic makes a lot of sense. Great goalkeeper for this week. Kukureya, Saliba, Gabriel. That's okay. I was looking at this team and I was thinking, how do you have this team? Yeah, it's a free hit. Fine. Ballard, Salah, Saka, Semenyo, Rogers, Watkins, JP. Honestly, I would consider going a little bit further. Like, why not consider Evan Nilsson as well if you can? Like, I think Evan Nilsson's better than JP this week, so that's kind of why I'm not super high on that. Kukure I think is solid. Double Arsenal defense, super solid. Interesting that you're not going Gyökeres. I'd like to probably know why you aren't going Gyökeres. Like, I would definitely go Gyökeres over Watkins, especially with the Havertz news. It just almost makes him a little bit of a I wouldn't say obvious pick, but I think I'd definitely consider Haaland as well. Um, I'd less want to go 3-4-3. Like this week, I honestly would rather have Haaland over Salah. So if you're gonna spend 14 million on this free hit, I actually think Haaland is the one. But I can also see why you might not want to do it, right? So that's up to you. I'll leave that with you. But yeah, I'd probably still go Gyökeres, maybe cut down a defender. I'd probably actually take Rogers out of the draft as well. Do you need Rogers? Like, maybe it's actually, if you have 4 midfielders, I'd probably go 3-5-2 still. What's a cheap defender to have? Like, you can go, I think you can go Senesi Dubravka personally. That saves you 0.5. And then in the midfield, maybe you can just go someone like Reinders, who's very cheap this week, but actually has a good game still. My team is pretty much locked as it stands. The reason why I've gone for Palmer, yeah, I'm happy to explain this, of course. Like, I don't think it's the right choice. I just think that you guys know me and how I played last season. It's not any different. The way that it works for me is if I see, let's say, Palmer close to Salah and I get a chance to go against the field for what I think is an equivalent decision, I'm probably going to take Palmer, right? So that's kind of my thoughts on that. And yeah, we're going cold, right? That's the idea there. So if I look at market odds this week, I think Palmer and Salah was a difference of 4 to 5% in terms of goals, but then actually, Palmer expectedly a little bit ahead in terms of assists and then slightly higher clean sheet share. So there's not a huge difference between the quality of the captaincy this week when it comes to, let's say, projected points or expected value. I am on a Palmer captaincy, as I've already mentioned. But it's a risk thing, right? Salah's going to be the more popular captain. I can see people going for Salah. If you had Saka or Haaland, I would easily be on those captaincies. Why Dubravka? Good question, actually. I mean, I haven't really decided on. I like the idea of having a double defense and kind of maximizing the outcome on that. It was sort of my thinking there. You've been missed. Thank you very much. I've missed all of you as well. To be honest, why Dubravka? Better clean sheet odds right now, so that's kind of why I'm on Dubravka. Estev or Dorgu? I would actually probably play Estev, but if you want to back Dorgu because you don't believe in Burnley, then fair enough. Like I mean, I prefer, like, for example, if I look at my own team, I would play Dorgu over Anderson. I wouldn't play Dorgu over Estev. Phil with an F, thank you so much. Hey, Fran, Everton looks so bad. Game week one is Njai to Rogers worth it, or just roll and start Jorginho. Just afraid of Rogers scores. I personally don't think Rogers is that much of a threat. I think there's enough good 6.5s that you can move towards where you shouldn't feel so bad about, like, let's say, like missing Rogers in your team. Um, yeah, I personally think Njai is a fine hold. Why not give him this week and then reassess, right? Because next week is a much worse fixture. Or sorry, no, the Aston Villa game week 4 is a much worse fixture. But it's a good opportunity for you to kind of reassess with some other players. Like, what are some other interesting 6.5s that we can kind of discuss briefly? I kind of think it's not the worst thing in the world to maybe just go SAR, but that's more of a transfer this week, less of a transfer the next. I don't love Enzo, if I'm honest. You could always just downgrade, right? Like I still think there's enough scope for you. Like, well, think about this. If let's say, I don't know, someone else gets signed in this Aston Villa team, like Tillemans can conceivably have slightly higher pen share. And then yeah, you can always fall back on some cheaper options, like maybe like Jorginho is still good. I know I just moved out of him, but he's interesting. I just wouldn't be so panicked. Like right now, I actually think there's not a huge gap between Njai and Rogers. I mean, think about it like this, right? Like Aston Villa weren't impressive in game week 1, so there must be people who own Rogers who have the same thoughts and feelings about the sort of same pick. No way I'm going double Burnley defense after terrible game against Spurs. I mean, what were you expecting from Burnley defense versus Spurs? They were away from home, and they were probably going to concede goals anyways. So why are we overreacting like this? Kind of confused. Fran loves pain. Absolutely correct. That's why we're here. I'm ready to embrace pain, but maybe one time in my life I can taste happiness, right? Who knows? Who knows? Why Dubravka? Honestly, the clean sheet odds I think are just about like 1% ahead for Burnley. I think it's a true 50-50. Like in every sense, really. Start Nico Williams with Porro. I'd start Nico Williams easily. Thoughts on Ekitike? I think he's incredible, but I think we need to just see what's going on with the Isak piece. Jay, thank you so much for the super chat. Wirtz to Saka or bench boost with Strand Larson, Dubravka, Porro. Is that Pat Matasar? You can go Wirtz to Saka in one move. How are you doing that, Jay? How are you doing that? I'm a bit confused here because I don't really know how you're going Wirtz to... Like, are you telling me that you're taking a hit here? Okay, let me just assume that you're not taking a hit and somehow you start FPL with a lot of money in the bank. I would probably go Wirtz to Saka. Now, if you haven't and you're taking a hit, I would not take the hit. I'd probably... Like, is it okay if I just say you shouldn't bench boost? Like, I don't like two Spurs players on a bench boost. Strand Larsen's actually really nice this week, so I don't really know why he's benched personally. And then Dubravka's nice, but presumably you have a good goalkeeper. I wouldn't bench boost. I wouldn't make the move for a -4 either. But let me know. Logged off for work early, Sam. I don't know. No, I actually logged off literally on the dot, and the stream started at 5. Taking hits early is bold. To be honest, I do think that there's like two strands. You got 2 million in the bank, Jay. Dude, just go Saka. Yeah, 100% go Saka. That's actually like a fun move. I like it. I mean, you're trading up massively on that move. I guess the other question is like, what can you do with the other 2 million, right? Like, could you go somewhere else? But no, I think Saka's the type of pick where you feel good about owning him regardless. In much the same way that Wirtz is, right? But he's just a step above. Or Fran, why Palmer cap? It's close enough where it's in the territory for me to want to do it. So yeah. Would I do Anderson over Stev? No, I would play a Stev. I really think people are overreacting to how Sunderland destroyed West Ham. I really do. But I still might go Sanchez, by the way. Just saying. That's the only decision that I'll be making this stream is whether I go Sanchez or Dubravka. As boring as that sounds, I will not be changing my captaincy. The GOAT stream, thank you, 11fi. The GOAT manager, maybe. The GOAT model. Yeah. As ever, of course, feel free to look at 11fi.com for some decisions, especially even on a team front as well. I know 11fi.com also says that Palmer's the best captain, even though he's not going to do it himself. But hey, I'll do it. I'll be the guinea pig again. So trust the stars. No spam in chat, please. I need a moderator. By the way, I was going to say, if someone can just at me if they're actually interested in moderating off the back of the stream, or even now on Discord or somewhere else, please do. Napstars, nice to see you. Sakura Gokura's captaincy plus starts, sells, or personally, like, you know what, I don't really like doing a cop out like this, but I would actually just go and choose who you actually truly think is on Arsenal penalties. I kind of think it's Gyökeres who's on penalties, so I would probably recommend going Gyökeres for captaincy. Plus, it actually gives you potentially the highest differential gains. Not that Saka is extremely high owned, but I think a lot of people aren't considering Gyökeres for captaincy. As far as sells over Bruggen, let me see. I mean, sells is against Crystal Palace away, which I don't like whatsoever. So I would probably actually go with Verbruggen. They're both away. I do see that, but yeah, like I think Brighton versus Everton away intuitively just feels like a much better game. You're basically looking at a much weaker offensive team in Everton versus Crystal Palace, which is a team I highly respect. So yeah, I would lean towards that. J-Wavy, pray for a double Forest. Guys, I'll be honest. Do I care that I have Murillo? Not really, because I mean, I need Sarr to do the business. So Murillo's job on my team. I mean, we could still own a bunch of defensive contributions, right? With Nottingham Forest defense, we don't have to necessarily get a clean sheet. We could win both ways. Sebastian, thank you so much for the message. Hartman. Porro not good to start. I mean, I can't really see the value of it. I still think City is good at score goals today, potentially more. Not today, obviously, but like I'm expecting City to probably score more than 2 goals, which is not a great spot to be in. So yeah, I mean, you're basically looking at Porro, significant chance of getting -1, reduced chance of getting attacking returns versus City as it stands, given the quality of the game. We can obviously look at the Spurs head-to-head versus City, which is obviously very favorable towards Spurs, but I don't know. Let's believe in the City home juju. Niche, you modified the draw. Thank you so much for sending that across. Petrovic, yep, fine. Kukureya, Saliba, Ait Nuri is a good one, actually. I didn't even think about this because, of course, like that's a good point. Are you really going Ballard? Please don't go Ballard. I'm begging you. Can we not go Ballard? Reinders makes sense. Saka makes sense. Salah makes sense. Surely we're not. Am I misreading this? No, you have a 3-4-3, right? Oh no, it is a 4-4-2. Okay. Well, we're not saving any more money with defense. Like, do I love Kukureya for this week? How do we actually get enough money? Why not Ballard? Burnley couldn't score past Ballard all last season. Sure, but there's probably better clean sheet odds for other teams anyways. I guess if you want to go Ballard, fine. But is it at all likely that he'll do the goods again? Like, I guess mostly his threat is clean sheets. And so if you think other people have better clean sheet odds, I mean, either that or you believe like the clean sheet odds for Sunderland aren't good enough, right? So you just think about updating, I guess, your betting odds maybe on Sunderland, and maybe just chuck a bet in there if you think it's underrated. I mean, what are we saying for this week, right? Burnley good. Obviously, Arsenal top. Like Chelsea's up there, Bournemouth's up there, Tottenham, like City inevitably will have decent-ish odds. That's about as far as I'd go in terms of free hit when it comes to defense. No, you definitely could be biased, and I get it. I know Burnley Sunderland last season was like 0-0 and 1-0 to Sunderland's favor, right? And maybe that was the away match. But yeah, like I think if you're thinking about reasonably what Ballard can do, Why does Fran have a fresh cut? Because my wife cut my hair. I would still try to find a way to go 3-5-2, but I need to have a thought about this. I would still go Haaland over Salah, but if you're going to go Salah, fine. I guess that just means you're going to go Saka Gyökeres captaincy, and that's okay. You got 0.9 in the bank. And that's because Semenyo, right, has sort of prompted a price rise. Let me try and think. Maybe we don't bin off Kukurea. I really do like Senesi, to be honest, versus Kukurea. I know that probably doesn't sound appealing. I mean, even Esteve is up there. Regardless, though, I think that's a good free hit, bar the Ballard point. Because I'm trying to think about it, like, Evan Nilsson's not too far away, but you still need to spit out 2.5 to get out of Evan Nilsson. The way I'd probably do that is cut down Kukurea and Petrovic. Maybe Kukurea becomes Senesi in the future. Petrovic becomes Dubravka. You don't feel so bad about a goalkeeper, I suppose. So then why not go Senesi? And then you actually should have enough money to go Evan Nilsson, right? Surely from your 4.5 forward. That's probably how I would approach this. If you're comfortable dropping Ballard from the team. And then Esteve can be 4.0 anyways. Is that right? Or Hartman, whatever. Let's say Hartman's an interesting pick. Apparently Juventus is still in contact with O'Reilly, ironically. Am I going against Salah? Yeah, I am. The Dubravka piece is not something that I'm sure with. Thoughts on Ndoye? I don't think he's particularly interesting, but that's because I still generally don't really believe in Nottingham Forest offense tremendously. Like I don't think they've improved massively, even though they made a lot of signings, right? In terms of like what that 11 consistently produces, it's more so that they actually have a lot of good depth now. What do you do with Tosin? You play him because he's available to play, right? Considering Watkins' captaincy, I actually haven't considered it, but I do know Watkins obviously has a great historical record. At the same time, I guess Palmer did okay versus West Ham last season, right? Yeah, I'm on Palmer. It do be like that sometimes. So, yeah. Basically, I guess if I look at my team, right, like can I improve the correlated outcomes in my team? I guess if I go Sanchez, that's backing the Cole Palmer clean sheet as well. The 2 points for the Cole Palmer clean sheet if I captain him, which I will, versus like double Burnley defense, which is like the double 4-pointer, right? That mic is larger than my shoulder. It's just, I mean, it's depth of perception, isn't it? Yeah. Did my wife give me a skin fade? It's not quite a skin fade, but I just have a lot of hair, so then it almost looks like even when you do well, yeah, it's just not a skin fade. I don't even know why I'm explaining this. Is it reasonable to captain Palmer over Haaland? No, I think I would go Haaland 100%. Not too worried about our game week 1 performance personally, hence why I've captained him. Just that yeah, like Palace were pretty passive. Other, how good was that Wharton like kind of pass? Like sorry, like reception and then kind of pass to Mateta. That was my favorite thing in that Crystal Palace Chelsea game. Mr. Super Chat, sorry about that, guys. Anish, your final team. It's a 4-4-2. You can take Ballard out. Gets me additional 0.5, 1.4 million in the bank. Then which other mid would you suggest? I would just go 3-4-3, my friend. Personally, like, I would say find a way to get to Evan Nilsson. Probably cut down one of your defenders, like a Kukurea potentially. Swap him, like for let's say, like I don't see a huge gap if I'm honest between let's say a Senesi, who actually has like really good chance of getting Defcon, or even like let's say an Esteve as well. and hopefully that gives you enough money to get Evan Nilsson. Like I would just prefer having Evan Nilsson plus one of the defenders that I mentioned over, let's say, Ballard. Yeah, Ballard being in the team and Kukurea being in the team. Yeah, yeah, that's as simple as it is. Jay, what's the Saka or yeah, I answered that question. Thank you so much for the super chats, by the way. Back to live chat. Would I bench boost with Dubravka, Reynaldo, Porro, and Sar? If that's PM Sar, I probably wouldn't. No, I don't really like that at all. Like, I think when you look at that bench boost, like, the only thing that's appealing to me is maybe, like, there's something that can come out of Dubravka, Reynaldo. Other than that, I've got no interest in that bench boost. Thank you, Annie. Fran loves the fresh trim. Who doesn't? Would you play Verbruggen or Dubravka? I'd play Dubravka. In most cases. Why Palmer? I think he'll play on the wing. I mean, like, there's no guarantees, right? Obviously, they can set up and start with Gusto, and that would even be better for my mental health. But no, I just think even like out wide where he's been absolutely awful on the leftish sort of position, I think he can do well. I'm not particularly worried about this. It's just a good game, and it's also a better game than Salah's, right? So yeah, let it be, let it be. But yeah, if he starts, I really don't think it's also purely positional, right? Like there's been times where, let's say under Poch, he was doing really well, like in the 10, but then under Maresca, for example, people kind of flag Palmer as being much better on the right. It's more like that kind of left half space and operating generally over there that is a bit of a snooze fest. But he doesn't always, for example, stay there positionally. So yeah. You don't trust Maresca to make smart moves. I mean, even in big games, we've seen Palmer operate in the right positions, right? I just don't really quite understand why he insists on different things. Exactly. Palmer usually plays central 10 when Ku converts. Well, but that's kind of the thing too. It's like Kukurea's role is also conditional, right? Sometimes, for example, when Kukurea just plays the back three, you have Gusto, and then suddenly, for example, like Reece James in the midfield was brilliant, like in the Club World Cup final. How would you rank who to start 1, 2, 3 out of my backline? I think Esteve first, Murillo second because he's just that good at CBIT, and then Anderson third. Anderson, Nottingham, or Tillemans? I would play Anderson, Anderson, Nottingham. Hi, Fran. Opinions on Saka Bruno? I think Bruno makes sense next week. Yeah, as a transfer. I mean, he's most people's captaincy option, right? What a Mateta? I mean, I like as a transfer in, I'd probably still go Mateta. Goodmanson future pick. I mean, he's always going to be the more attacking defender, although he's got no chance of DEFCON, right? So actually, your floor in a lot of games is going to be off. I think the bet on Goodmanson is basically how good do you think this Leeds defense actually is? Because of course, if he becomes one of those fullbacks who's a bit more clean plus high upside within a good game, and there are more good games than we think, right? Because for example, if you let's say own a bottom tier defense, you don't really care about their fullbacks because there's not going to be a lot of games where you get that upside in terms of rotation. But yeah, if you think that Leeds is like very underrated, then I can understand the value of a Goodmanson, sure. But I probably still think a 4.0 defender makes a lot more sense long term from a poorish defense, because you can get the value from them week to week, even as an auto sub. Who should I captain? Thank you so much for the super chat, SK. Who should I captain? Saka, Haaland, Palmer, Gyökeres? I would personally go Haaland. Honestly, like I would personally go Haaland. I think there's a bit of uncertainty in the penalties. I think Leeds looked reasonably good first time out. So yeah, I'm more of a Haaland captain kind of guy. I think there's just guarantees with Haaland, and they look good. The Spurs defense, yes, of course, it looked pretty strong versus PSG, but why not take the opportunity there? And if you want to back purely fixture, then fine. Just pick between one of Saka and Gyökeres who you actually think is going to be the right captain, right? I personally think I would choose between Saka, Haaland, Palmer. I wouldn't even Saka, Haaland, Gyökeres. I would not be choosing Palmer. Like if I had Gyökeres right now, I think he'd be my vice captain, and I think Haaland would be my captain. But that's because I think Gyökeres is on penalties, right? So that sort of edge is why I'd probably choose him over Saka even. Anish, thank you so much for the final. Draft Sanchez. Yep. Okay. Interesting. Senesi, Aitnuri, Saliba. Okay. All very good. Very happy with that. We got Salah, Saka, Anderson, Semenyo. Interesting. Okay. So that changes from Reinders. Okay. Watkins, York, Evan Nilsson. Fair. I can see I haven't been able to change your mind in terms of Salah, and that's okay, right? I think that's a strong draft. Enjoy the game week. Who are you captaining in that circumstance? You don't have to super chat me to tell me that. You can just let me know in chat, and I'll read it when I get to it. Anderson or Stev? I would go as Stev. I'm gonna check back around 50 minutes to watch me swap cap and keeper. I mean, you can come back, Alfie. I don't really tend to change my decisions. I'm on Palmer, so yeah, and that will stick. You totally missed that we have double chips changes everything, right? It kind of does. Oh, Saka, nice, Anish. That makes sense. Made any transfers yet? Well, I have, right? I've gone Jorginho in for Reinders. Just to kind of pocket at 0.5 because I have the confidence in Reinders in the short term. Happy to be wrong about that, but yeah. I just think that there's going to be spots in this team that I would like the 0.5 to spend on. I'm pretty confident about the rest of my squad in terms of their sort of consistent value, unless crazy things happen. What do I mean by crazy things can happen? I guess Jackson to Aston Villa, Strand Larson to Newcastle. But I think it's also that 0.5 gives me the flexibility to improve certain positions, right? Like Murillo to a 6.0, Estev to a 4.5, Romero to a 5.5, like Munoz in the future. Those kind of things are what I'm talking about. Gyökeres and Mateta, good partnership. I mean, do your forwards in FPL need a good partnership? They just need to score points, right? I think that's good, especially like that Havertz news is such a huge boost towards anyone who owned Gyökeres before this week. George, thank you so much for the message. Hello, boss. Haaland or Saka cap this week? I would lean towards Haaland, but if you kind of have like an intuition over Saka being a captaincy sort of option and as a penalty taker as well for this week, I'd probably go Saka since he does have the better game. But I think Haaland just feels a bit more standard, safe, all avenues of points kind of covered. So yeah. Would I bench boost with Dubravka, KDH, Porro, and Doof? Well, Doof's against Chelsea, so don't love that. Porro's against City, so I don't love that. Yeah, I would say no. Why are all FPL creators not starting Porro? Basically, just the lack of clean sheet expectations, and even as an attacker, you're expecting City to be a pretty competent defense. Obviously, yes, I know the head-to-heads, but that's pretty much it, right? Not expecting a lot from Spurs, even in this match. Mr. Marinakis is watching me. I mean, hey, if you want to get me into Premier League management, I mean, I'll be there. Right? Sign me up. Fran does not change the decision. Sanchez was in the team selection video earlier. When Rob T odds have Burr above Chair, Fran follows. Well, I did change my decision based on Salah versus Palmer, right? What I mean is I don't tend to change my decisions like for like without information, if that makes sense. But I think I was always open to saying that both those spots can change, right? In terms of Sanchez versus Dubravka and Palmer versus Salah. Like I think they're very contextual 50-50s, which are at the end of the day, you end up picking a 50, what you think is a 51 versus a 49, right? In those cases, it's not like if suddenly Dubravka does well, like I wouldn't be shocked. Like he's got reasonably good odds. I don't know why the markets have kind of shifted off in terms of that. What do you think of double force defense? It's not the best fixture this week, but at the end of the day, like they're really good for DEFCON. So there's always like good ways to getting points from those teams. Will Akiampong start? I really am not sure. I personally think Tosin and Chalobah will start because Tosin seems ready, but I could be wrong. Palmer scored an open play once since Jan. No idea why people paid 10.5 million for him, and that's a fair point, right? And that's probably why you don't have Palmer in your team. Whereas I guess think he's capable of scoring an open play goal at some point in his life again in the Premier League. Bench Fulkrug for one of Anderson, Porro, Estev. I would bench Fulkrug for Estev easily. Yeah, sure, go for it. What I wrote stands given the info that changed is Rob T projections. I mean, Rob T projections isn't the only thing that changes, right? It is a very interesting 7% clean sheet boost. Like I couldn't even really explain to you why exactly that is. But I think that kind of stuff kind of makes you think, okay, that's an objective source of information, right? Where it's not like I'm trying to mess with the clean sheet odds. Those are just the odds. So if I was, cautious about playing Dubravka out like from last week, then that's an objective source that basically says it's not really a bad or good decision, like either way, right? So that's kind of why I feel comfortable playing Dubravka, not because like the projections moved in a certain way and I have to follow like a sheep, if that makes sense. Um, and I am concurring with your point, right? Like for example, Salah still has higher goal scoring odds, but of course Rob T is not sharing the assist odds, whereas the assist odds would most likely favor Palmer. And I think based on what I've seen within the sharp markets, like they clearly are. Um, Horror or Fulkrug? I mean, I'd go. Um, I'd probably still play Fulkrug at the end of the day. Other Fran, who would you start? Dubravka or Sells? I'd start Dubravka. Rogers is a 90-minute man with good fixtures. Yeah, of course he is. Always has been, right? Yeah, he does lots for Solio, but I mean, those are just the market odds. It's not like it's not Rob T's projections. Those are just market projections. Should be illegal for Fran to be this good at FPL, yet he doesn't have an actual team he supports in the Premier League. I mean, do I need to support a Premier League team to make good Premier League content? I'll probably have to find out one day. Stefan says, I think United will score 2+ goals, one to go for an attacker since they have Burnley next week. I would go Cunha over Mbumo, just from what I've seen. Small sample size. How does Petrovic rank this week? Probably better than Dubravka, I imagine. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I think, to be honest, like Kieran, that like that literally is like a 0.1 expected point type of decision where, like the wind can blow one certain direction and Petrovic is lower or higher than Dubravka. I don't have Petrovic though, right? I've got Sanchez, if that's what you're saying. Or are you talking about someone else? I do have JSL, but yeah, because I don't have Petrovic, like it's kind of like I don't have a West Ham attacker to upset me. Neither do I have a Sunderland attacker. So it's just sort of I'm playing the odds, right? Slightly higher clean sheet odds, and that's it. You play FPL and you don't even like the sport. That's interesting. I'm not sure if I would play FPL if I didn't like watching football. Like I watch more Premier League football than I watch of like La Liga, for example. Um, any good strikers at 6.5 better than Richarlison? I mean, I would still probably say Strand Larson because I think Richarlison is the number 9 for the team, but it's like how long will that last? And also, how many minutes does he play, for example, in every match? It's kind of tough. That feels way more enjoyable than watching 90 minutes of Premier League matches with 2 goals in them. But isn't technically FPL watching the 90-minute matches? Or am I not quite getting it? Would you transfer Solanke or Wood? I mean, I would transfer Solanke for sure. Or for Wood. You've got unlimited transfers because you missed game week 1. Yeah, I would definitely transfer Solanke because he's already been mentioned to be not the number 1 striker for this Spurs team. You missed the explanation of Sanchez on the bench. I mean, clean sheet odds are basically the same. Yeah. Like, I kind of like that I'm backing double Burnley defense because if the outcome is good for me, then I mean, yeah, if that one outcome is good, then I benefit quite massively. Although I recognize I also have Palmer with the double clean sheet point potential as well. So it's pretty similar. I think just choose based on, I don't know, you're like, for example, if you're really high on Sunderland up to game week 1, fair enough. Just go for a Chelsea defender. Like I still think it's a 50-50. Good luck for the game week to you as well. Nickname Nick. Nickname is Nick. Can you explain your choice behind captaincy? Yeah, well, I mean, on the grassy side, right? If we want to say it like that, like Newcastle looked good in game week 1. Liverpool probably looked okay in offense, but probably overscored as well compared to what we expected. Chelsea were pretty flat in that sense, but still created a lot of chances. West Ham actually defensively weren't awful, but still look there for the taking. It's a better game for Palmer. Palmer's an inferior player to Salah, so I think it's close. Once you kind of equate all these sorts of things, and then at that point, it's kind of like your risk preference, right? Like if you don't want to deal with high effective ownership captaincies, go with Salah. If you are tempted to kind of go for a chance where you probably stand to benefit a bit more if things go well in your favor, then go for Palmer. And yeah, if you don't like that experience, for example, of like being on the flip side of the coin and everyone owns a Salah Hall, then don't go for Palmer, right? It's just like I think mentally as well, just a risk thing, an emotional thing. Where do you get your leaks from? I mean, there's like people who post on Twitter. Then I have some friends who are in the know, but we don't have any Chelsea leaks. I couldn't tell you whether JP's going to start or not. I think Chelsea's probably one of the more tighter-lipped clubs, if I'm honest. Regarding Palmer, Saka has not scored an open play goal in the Prem for a long time too, by the way. Yes, he was injured, but Palmer did well in the Club World Cup. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like some of the teams that they were playing against in the Club World Cup are better than some Premier League teams, right? So I don't know what really the fuss is about. Maybe there's a mental factor preventing him from scoring the Club World Cup, like in the Premier League, but eventually he will score one. People who play FPL when PL matches are on at 1 a.m. or 4 a.m. can wake up to 8 million highlights. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Well, to be fair, that's just the experience of actually living outside of Europe, which unfortunately, like I know all too well. Like I grew up in Hong Kong. Growing up in Hong Kong, you just don't get to watch games live, especially when you're a kid. So yeah. Yeah, double force defense. How should I start? Nico or Dorgu? I personally would go Dorgu, but I can understand wanting to go Nico. Am I crazy thinking Reynolds over Steve? If you want to back Sunderland, go for it. But personally, I think I'd back Steve. By the way, I'm calling him Steve. His name is Esteve, but yeah, I guess we'll call him Steve now. Who's Arsenal's pen taker? Apparently Gyökeres, but I don't know if that's true or not. Saleh, thank you so much for the super chat. Free at 2 as well. Sanchez, Richards, interesting. Richards, okay. Gabriel, Truffet, nice. Saka, Salah, Tavernier, Reinders, Talby, Haaland, Gyökeres. Are we really going with Talby here? I really don't know about the Talby pick. I feel like I just wouldn't go Salah Haaland on a free hit. I would just choose one of them. Think about it this way, right? You're not going to captain Salah. If you're not going to captain Salah, then there's absolutely no reason to even like go for Salah because he kind of ruins the budget of your team. Like Salah is probably still this week like close to Palmer, so you can get the cost saving there, or even arguably close to like. I know people take offense to that, but yeah, even arguably still close to, let's say, a Bruno in that world. I would go 3-4-3 this week. I think there's just a lot better strikers on offer, like Evan Nilsson as well, that I think would be really nice on most drafts. I can see you going Tavernier, but for example, like would I really want to not have Semenyo? I'm not sure. Like I think going out of Salah, getting players like Semenyo in, getting Evan Nilsson in there makes the draft a lot better, and then yeah, you'll probably just enjoy the experience more because if you're doing something which is like you own Haaland, you captain him, you're still kind of cheering against Salah regardless. So I guess the free hit is like it would only work this way if you think everyone else can't score and then Salah will score but less than Haaland, and Salah scores really well. From Hong Kong to the slums of London. Fair enough. Will Tosin start? I wouldn't guarantee that, but I think it's possible. Hey Bogdan, who should I start between Njai and Anderson? I mean, it's still actually a good game on paper for Njai, and he's playing at home. I kind of think I would lean towards Njai this week. You reckon Gyökeres starts like 100, 1000%? I think he starts. I think if Gyökeres doesn't start, like, I mean, that's saying an extreme amount about your starting striker whilst Havertz is out, right? I've just seen one of the members of my private chat has been forced into a free hit because his cousin pressed the button. Yeah, Havertz is injured. Yeah. Saka or Palmer captain, I would probably still go Saka. I just think that that's way too good of a game to kind of pass up on a Saka for. Like, you must have had Saka also, like, partly because you were thinking about this Game Week 2 game from a while back, right? Like, I think passing up on Saka is unfortunately a bit of a nonsense, even though it's a close decision, right? If you actually look at the odds, it's not particularly glistening for well, I think the odds are actually better than some like what the models almost project for this Arsenal team. But yeah, I'd just go Saka for sure. Thoughts on captaining Watkins? I mean, he's in and around there as one of the top picks, but I guess I just respect the Brentford defense at the end of the day. Like, it's still pretty much similar to last season, like with the exception of Norgard. But yeah, I'm not as low on Brentford after the one game week as other people. Um, Hi, Fran. Would you play Anderson Fulham instead of Jorginho Brighton? I would still play Jorginho personally. I think Jorginho is going to start. All the Brighton predictors that I speak into are pretty reputable. Think he'll start. I would take the chances with a game like this. Bruno captain. I think Bruno captain's up there. I think Flapjack FPL was actually considering it. Let me actually ask Flapjack FPL. Do you guys know Flapjack FPL? One of the worst managers I happen to know. No, I'm kidding. Let's ask this guy. Monks. Hey, Fran, transfer a roll of Paqueta. I guess you've already taken the price drop, Monks. So I'd probably roll with him for now and get a little bit more information. Like, you've missed some of the price drops. It's probably a good chance to sort of see whether Jorginho is an interesting sort of pivot, even though you can't really go there right now. And it's probably another week where you can kind of look at Reinders and his minutes, right? Like, I could have jumped the gun completely in the wrong way with Reinders. So I could have messed up. Like, maybe he plays 78 minutes and suddenly I look like a clown. But if, let's say, Randers plays another 90 and he looks really good, then that's probably your transfer. At the same time, just rolling with Paqueta for now, like, he's still a solid pick. His minutes are still good. He hasn't been transferred out of the club. You then have an opportunity basically to pivot into a 5.5 who's going to be quite good, right? Like, maybe it's Anderson. Maybe it's even actually one of the DEFCON darlings that we haven't spoken about too much. Like, it could still be an Anton Stack. It could still be, I don't know, maybe like a Newcastle defender, a midfielder. Sorry. And then yeah, like, hopefully Harry Wilson will be good. Hopefully Arias will be good, and then you have your pivots right in the future. So that's kind of what I think. I think, yeah, Paqueta's not going to hurt you this week. He's going to start. He should still be a decent pick going forwards, but it is a shame about the price drop. Njai or Wirtz? I mean, Wirtz, I'd choose Wirtz every day, right? My problem is starting Wirtz or Jorginho. I would start Wirtz still. I think guarantee of minutes for Wirtz are still pretty much there, especially with the unfortunate issues around injuries that Liverpool seem to be facing right now. Start Kudus or Ballard. I mean, I'd start Kudus personally, but I'm sure some people are very high on Ballard right now. Will Man City play Trafford for the moment? Unclear. Pep basically said they're going to decide on goalkeeper. I actually kind of think Ederson will come back, but I could be wrong. Start for Bruggen or Dubravka. I'd go Dubravka. Unfortunately, we're going to have to put you in timeout as well. Try not to spam the chat, please. Any other messages? Start Wirtz or Rogers? I'd still go Wirtz, personally. Did double Burnley or double Force defense? I would go double Burnley if I had the chance to do double Burnley. For sure. Start Dubravka sells. I'd go Dubravka. I'm pretty confident in Crystal Palace as a team. Like, obviously, it's an Eze-less team, so I think that inevitably makes Crystal Palace worse, right? Because the overall team quality has clearly dropped now with Eze leaving. I think even the markets have pretty sharply reacted to that. Like, I can see Sar's goals have dropped season long. I can see Mateta's goals have dropped season long. So yeah. Naz, nice name. Start Anderson, Crystal Palace, or Reynald. I would go Anderson, Crystal Palace easily. Sorry, Anderson Cry. Wait, what is this? Anderson Crystal Palace? So lost. Am I losing my mind? Which Anderson is this? Are you think Anderson because he used to play for Crystal Palace? surely we mean Anderson Fulham, right? Kudus or Dewsbury Hall? Dewsbury Hall for me. You were distracted by him calling him Steve. Did you say Reynaldo or Esteve? I would go Esteve or Steve. I mean, Anderson at Nottingham Forest, he's playing Crystal Palace. Yeah, but it doesn't make sense because he said Reynaldo Sunderland, right? Whereas Joachim Anderson used to play for Crystal Palace. So actually, you could still interpret it in both ways. But either way, I would play both Andersons over Reynaldo. Let's just keep it simple, right? Both Andersons are better. Reynaldo over Big Stevie. That's fair. Guys, you really don't want my Burnley clean sheet to happen, huh? I think the only decision that I'll do for the stream, as I said, is I could still go Dubravka or Sanchez, right? And that's pretty much it. Start 2 out of Nico Williams, Anderson, and Esteve. Okay. Let's say we start Esteve first. Then I think we go Nico Williams. Then I think we go Anderson. That's pretty much how I would do it. It's all about differentials, baby. Is it though? Is it though? There's no way Burnley getting a clean sheet. Why is there no way? Are we thinking Sunderland's going to score every game in the season? If there's anything that Burnley could do, it's probably defend. You're feeling the Watkins captaincy? I think there's nothing wrong with it. So if you're feeling it, go for it. It's your team. It's your decision, right? As long as you're happy to do it, go for it. Oh, sorry. Did I miss a chat? Nope, haven't. Trufe for Dio for 1 week punt. But why is it a 1 week punt though? I would actually prefer Senesi long term. Last time we saw. Yeah, I mean 1 game week is barely any sample size though. Even in the context of like West Ham looked terrible on offense and that kind of stuff. Any news about Isak? Not that I can see. Playing Cucurella makes a lot more sense than Sanchez, right? Cucurella actually has like a lot of attacking threat as well. So it's like a little bit more simpler. Like for example, like I don't know, I'd probably still intuitively want to pick Cucurella over Esteve. But it's a bit of a tougher decision. Like if I was just choosing Sanchez and I don't know, Dubravka. You've seen a few people selling Rodgers, which makes no sense to me. You're considering bringing him in to replace Njai. I can kind of see the value of wanting to sell Rodgers. But then I kind of think I agree with you in the sense that the reason to pick Rodgers has not changed whatsoever, right? You would have picked Rodgers because he's just a really consistent player, playing 90 minutes a match, etc., etc., etc. And so nothing has changed. His underlyings have always been a little bit mediocre, but he's still a good pick, I suppose, and still has the good run of games up until game week 8. So I hear you out in terms of it doesn't make sense to sell him. But I think arguably some people would still say he's a little bit too expensive for the price point, right? Atrax, thank you so much for the super chat. Bench 2, Virgil van Dijk, Williams, Murillo, Esteve, Porro. I'd play Esteve, I'd play Murillo, I kind of think double double Nottingham Forest defense makes the most sense in your situation. Just simply because you're kind of backing the same outcome with the 2 players there, so I'd probably just do that. I would bench Porro. But if you're telling me you can bench some of the midfielders, I'm kind of confused here. Like, are you saying that I can bench? Oh, right. So I guess Kudus could still get benched, right? In this context. That's a good point. I mean, Kudus, like, if he plays 80 minutes of football, I think I'd still... Maybe it actually makes sense to bench Kudus and you go Virgil van Dijk. But I mean, Dewsbury Hall is interesting. I'd probably actually play Dewsbury Hall this week. I don't think there's a reason to bench him. So I'd probably bench Kudus and Porro. Maybe like back against Tottenham in a way. Why are there so few Saka takers? Well, I think if you look at the games after this for Saka, they're just simply quite poor, right? I don't know. It's kind of hard to just think that Arsenal is going to absolutely steamroll Liverpool away, Forest at home, City at home, Newcastle away. Like that is an extremely tough run of games next four. So yeah, I think I can understand why no one wanted to start with Arsenal players. Although if you started with double Arsenal defense or even one Arsenal defender, like you've already done well, right? So fair play. Don't go for double Forest. Yeah, I can understand wanting to not go double Forest, but it's possible that teams with a bad game can still do well, right? This is a Crystal Palace team coming off of a playoff game, and they're probably, if you want to say it, leggy. Start Van de Ven or Anderson? I'd start Anderson. I mean, I wouldn't start Van de Ven for City. Can you do a quick fun free hit drop? Yeah, you know what? That's a good shout. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. Let's just do that. What if I accidentally free hit? I probably would go Dubravka, right? Saves money. I'd probably go. I mean, let's see if I want to go Estev. Right, this guy's not coming. This guy's not coming. Boom, boom, boom. Goodbye. Probably goodbye as well. I would build a team first with these two men. Right, of course, Gorkers doesn't get any points, so I literally have to manually search for him. Probably go Evan Nilsson as well. Oh, God, this website is just something else. Semenyo. Okay. I'm just trying to see like what I want, right? And then we'll cut down from there. Maybe Kukurea. Senesi makes sense to me. Trufe is also good as well, but I'd probably still go Senesi. Why am I blanking so hard? I need an Arsenal defender. That's kind of done. Any other defenders that like particularly interest me this week? Hmm. Maybe this guy is interesting. Okay, so probably been off Palmer. 4.4 though. Oh, actually, I'm not going to spend that much money on defense. I think Kukurea could potentially go. I kind of like Munoz over Kukurea. Maybe some people disagree, but I do like him. Kind of think you can go Estev, so maybe we don't need Senesi. Or Senesi's just bench depth. Maybe we'll just go Ballard back of the bench. Wait, what am I even doing? Good first bench. Now we need a midfielder. Trying to think, is it just Reinders that makes the most sense, or actually can we just go for another midfielder? I don't know. I probably would still just go Reinders. So yeah, that would be my 3-4-3. Yeah, okay. So we just well, we put King in here. That's kind of the draft that I would go with. Do we need to go to Dubravka? I don't know. I think he actually might be one of the best goalkeepers this week. I'm sure that's upsetting to some people. But you could equally just go Sanchez. We can still stretch to Kukurea here, can't we? Yeah, I guess you could. I kind of think you should back a double defense. So that's the problem with this draft, I suppose. Like, you're not even backing a double defense here. Maybe you don't like Munoz, and so you ship off of him. It could still be Senesi. Like, I think that Munoz Kukurea spot is conditional. You can change your goalkeeper as well. I don't think I'm super fixated on anything. Yeah. Just for the purposes of a free hit. I don't know. I'm kind of sold on all of these picks. Like, even I'd be happy with a draft like this. And then obviously I don't play King. I bench these two. I bench this guy. Like, this core as a draft, I think is quite strong. So yeah, that's probably my rough recommendation of a free hit. I kind of just want to back a Sanchez clean. Ah, just a little bit of a demolition. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world going Sanchez. Okay, so be it. I'll go Sanchez. All right. I think it's a close call. I don't care. I'm backing Palmer anyways. I'm basically a Chelsea fan tonight, so whatever. Here we go, as they say, or there we land. Why double Burnley? No particular reason. I think they just got good clean sheet odds, right? Everyone's sleeping on Watkins' gap, like they were sleeping on Holland. I mean, if you can get captaincy right every week, you'll pretty much win FPL. But I can bet you that you won't. Like, Watkins is a solid captain, but I think he's like, there's nothing that says to me that, or screams to me that he's like indisputably the best captain. No Richarlison. What do you mean, like in terms of what for this week? Watkins to Gyökeres for a captaincy? I don't think it's really worth the transfer, but if you think it's worth it, then go for it. I can see the appeal of the captaincy, though. I certainly can. Marmoush to Semenyo or hold? I'd probably do Marmoush. You sent me a super chat. Sorry, I must have missed it when I was doing the free hit. Hold Cherky. I probably would hold Cherky. I can't really guarantee that he starts, but I think like I would probably just reassess with Cherky when he like doesn't play significant minutes or like well, he doesn't have a good game on paper, right? Like the time to sell Cherky is probably now, but I can understand selling Cherky in game week 5 instead. Like, if you can kind of keep getting away with Cherky as you have, right, with the sub on and the goal, nothing's really stopping you from kind of keeping him because he's not going to get a price fall anytime soon, I suppose. And he is 6.5 at the end of the day. Like, you could sell him versus, I feel like you can sell him maybe like before Brighton. Like, Brighton away is a pretty tough match. You can probably sell him then. I wouldn't sell him this week, though. Those twins, thank you so much. Frimpong Price Drop suggestion, Dorgu Gabriel. Well, if Dorgu gives you something that you want long term, go for it. But I think Gabriel's just a super solid hold. Like, there's that Gabriel pick can't go wrong in a way, and you just have an amazing fixture. The only thing is, do you have rotation for game week 3? Like, Dorgu's a completely different pick, right? Dorgu has a slightly worse game here, and then a much better game week 3, whereas Gabriel's the complete opposite. He's got a good game here and a really bad game week 3. And then 5 and 6 are kind of like, it's not the best for Arsenal because it's City and Newcastle. So do you have like a strong-ish defense then? Like that's probably the question to ask. I think I would actually go Dorgu myself. I'm actually looking at going Dorgu in the future, if that helps. But at a 6.0 position, like just locking in someone who's nailed could be helpful. You could even go Munoz, right? I don't think that's even a bad idea for Frimpong to Munoz. But once again, it depends on like if you have coverage for game week 6. Bruno's good for captaincy. He absolutely is actually. He's an interesting pick if you don't have Haaland, Saka, Gyökeres, those types of players. Like if suddenly you're choosing between Salah, Palmer, etc., then go for it. You admire my extreme arrogance. Am I arrogant? I'm just saying Watkins is not the best pick of the week, right? Caicedo or Reinders? I'd probably say Reinders. Jorginho to Reinders now. I don't think it's worth it after the price change. I'd probably still keep Jorginho. I think he's going to start. Everyone seems so confident Esteva or Porro. Well, it's just a clean sheet thing, right? Stop shaking. What do you mean by that? Are you hearing a shake? Can you guys hear a shake in audio? Reynaldo or Stev? I'd probably go with Stev. Why Palmer captain? I just think it's a good chance to go for a 50-50 kind of captaincy swing. So that's why I'm taking the chance. Akiem probably a free hit. I don't think he's even going to start. So you can't hear shaking? Or is it like, is the camera shaking? Is that one of the problems? Oh, maybe my head's shaking metronomically, right? Well, head loss. Gakpo to Reinders. I don't think Gakpo's a sell. I think Gakpo's great. You're not arrogant at all. Thank you, mate. I don't think it's a great move. I would keep Gakpo. Gakpo's a lovely pick. Sunderland will 100% score against Burnley. I mean, that logic is how we get towards 0 or no clean sheets, right? But, you know, like, Sunderland are going to blank in certain games this season. And probably the best way to bet around that is away versus home, that sort of thing. Or like, good versus bad defenses. I've moved Sanchez to start, yeah. Not for any particular reason. As I said, it's a 50-50. I'm just emotionally going to be invested. I'd rather be emotionally invested as a Chelsea fan, right? Get that Palmer clean sheet as well. Secure that. Which Sunderland attacker do I think is best? Can I say none of them? Is it a hot take? Probably still a Dingra at his sort of price point. I think makes the most sense. What's my reasoning for Palmer? I think it's a bit of 50-50. Odds are close in terms of like projected goals and assists combined. He actually has pretty good chances of getting 2+ goals compared to Salah. So take my chances with Palmer. And I think most people go Salah, so I like the free risk. Why would you go Esteve over Reynaldo? I mean, it's basically just suggesting that we think Burnley can do something, right? I really don't think Sunderland were that impressive in game week 1. You know, and we might react to this in 3-4 weeks, and I can put my hands up and say I'm stupid. But I think, yeah, like, let's not overreact to Sunderland squashing West Ham 3-0. No one's forgetting that Burnley's crap either. We all project Burnley to be bad, but we just think that Sunderland aren't as improved as we probably think. I know the last time the Sunderland played Burnley and it was a 0-0, like Sunderland created like what, north of 2xg. But that's also not, for example, like what we're expecting. For example, like even the previous match when Sunderland actually scored, I think it was a lot closer. I think we'll all regret benching Porro and let it be, right? I don't really feel bad about benching someone versus City away. My end of 5.5 million striker is decent. Yeah, but I kind of think because the 4.5 defense, like the 4.5 midfield position is pretty weak. Like I don't think Josh King is a really stable pick. Whereas in the 4.5 forward position, I kind of generally feel like I don't mind going Gu because I'd rather play 3-5-2 for most of the season compared to 3-4-3. Just based on the pricing of the midfielders versus the strikers. Yeah. Marmoush keep or sell? I think he's probably a keep for this game and then a sell if he gets benched again. Like Marmoush is going to start games in the future. That's undoubted. But Does it make sense to really own Marmoush, especially when he has some fixtures that are pretty poor coming up, like let's say Arsenal, and he's not even nailed? Definitely not. So I'd probably sell Marmoush. Like I'd reconsider after a good game on paper, like Tottenham at home, and then reconsider. But he's probably a sell in the near term. Watkins worth transferring out now for differential Gyökeres captaincy. If you actually want to do it, I think it's not a bad move. I don't think it can go massively wrong, but I think there's also kind of no point to the move because you're not saving money. I guess you're not getting price rises. It's really just the captaincy this week. Then you'll probably feel a little bit bad owning Gyökeres over Watkins after this week, which I guess if you're okay with that, that's fine. Was it Taylor? Who was the Burnley player everyone had a few years ago who absolutely went off? I think it was Taylor, right? Because I remember FPL Jan, the Polish, legendary FPL manager. He played Taylor, didn't he? He got an assist and a clean, if I'm right, and then Son got a goal and assist or something like that, or Son got a own goal and then scored a goal. I can't quite remember, but there was a huge furor because he benched Son, and then played Taylor instead. Why everyone's picking Estev? Sunderland aren't the favorites, even though that might shock you. So I think the market odds, from what I saw, were definitely favoring Burnley, surprisingly in this situation, but just by a very small margin. I think the idea, anyways, behind that game is that it's probably the game this Premier League weekend that has the least amount of expected goals combined, right? So we're expecting that to be like a 1-0 or a 0-1. We're not expecting a lot of goals from this Burnley Sunderland game, but Burnley are just marginally favored to win. What to do with Eze? I'd probably transfer him out because there's no guarantee he plays this weekend, so you might as well make a transfer. Like, I would honestly even consider going Gakpo. 3-5-2 is, or just going Semenyo. Semenyo is probably safer. 3-5-2 is better for sure. Was talking specifically on question on who's the best Sunderland. Well, that's the thing, but I try to answer the question in the context of the macro context of does it make sense to have a 5.5 in your team, right? So if I said Mayenda, that's almost saying that you like Mayenda's worth a forward spot, which I don't think he is. Whereas I think Adingra arguably is worth a midfielder. What was my best rank? 438. Someone sent me a voice note about who I should play, so let me just listen to it. Yeah. In terms of Sanchez versus Bravka. Phoning a friend here. Can you hear that? All right, he's just hopefully you guys can hear this one. That was an analytics manager, by the way. Let's see. Is Pape Sarr a good option? I still think I'm not in love with him because I still think he doesn't really play in the way that you think a 10 would, right? And then actually the more advanced he plays, he kind of loses a bit of defcons as well, so I'm not sure if I love him. Dominic, good luck with PALMER captaincy. You're also going there as a Chelsea fan. Do you think you should search for a replacement for Jorginho? I really don't think Jorginho needs to be replaced. I did it. It was a bit of an aggressive move. I might even regret it, for example. It could, honestly, like the Jorginho move that I made could generally just be stupid. Okay? I don't think it's really worth doing it now, especially if you're not going to get the double price rise and, I don't know, use 0.5 in a way that helps your team, right? Hi, mate. Sorry, you don't know if you responded to this already. You've got Fulkrug 1 million in the bank. Should I stick? I would go to Evan Nilsson. I think I would go Evan Nilsson. If Fulkrug hasn't dropped already, go Evan Nilsson. If Fulkrug has dropped, I kind of think you should maybe like just keep him for a bit. I'm not sure. And then see if, let's say, Strand Larson moves towards Newcastle, then you can move to Strand Larson. Bruno Captain, as a Chelsea fan, you think Bruno Captain's interesting if you don't want to go for Salah. I can understand the logic to it. Anderson or Nico Williams to start. I'd probably still start Nico Williams personally. Start Estev or Williams. I'd still start Estev. JC says he's got Frimpong, who's a good long-term replacement. I would just go Gabriel. It makes a lot of sense. Bench boost with Porro, Virgil van de Ven, Shaq, and Dubravka. I don't really see the value of it. Am I worried about JSL's speculation? Absolutely. There's also kind of speculation in terms of Villa bringing in another striker, right? Which is the problem. Jorginho, Rutter, and Brighton. Is he confirmed out? Who's saying he's out? I'm kind of confused. Sorry. There should be nothing wrong with Jorginho Rutter. I think most people are predicting him to start. Tarkowski or Anderson? I'd probably go to Anderson. Any leaks? I can't see any leaks that would impact us. Can't see any leaks at all. Ben Krellin also Captain Palmer. Okay, Ben Krellin. I see you. I see you. Lovely stuff. That's our guy, right? Master Ben. Why not Watkins captain? I'm not a huge like I'm not hugely into head to head. I think it's a away fixture which kind of like devalues it. I think Brentford I still respect more than West Ham. Let's see. Is Ben Krellin on double Burnley defense? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Sorry about that. But I think you can access Ben Krellin's team if you subscribe to Fantasy Football Hub. So if you want to have a look, for example, you know, make some decisions quickly in terms of like see which goalkeepers preferred, what transfers you want to get suggested, you can have a look at the link in the description, sign up to Pro, and then you'll get access as well to Ben Krellin's team. I think season long, I believe, is the offer. And yeah, 50% off up until the end of this month. So do make use of that offer. Do join in because it can probably help you make much better decisions along the way. Is Sarr to Reinders worth it? I don't really think so. Bench one, Murillo, Tarkowski, De Kuiper. I'd bench De Kuiper. Thanks, mate. Went to Evan Nilsson from Full Krug, then have a good game week. You too. Evan Nilsson makes a lot of sense, Lucas. I hope that really works out for you. What do you think about Evan Nilsson captaincy? I see him probably 90 minutes. I actually don't know if he's on penalties. I personally think Semenyo could take penalties, but I think Evan Nilsson's an interesting captaincy. Do I still prefer some other picks? Yes. You wildcarded. Are you stupid? I don't think so. But obviously it's very early, so I hope you have the structure that you want for the long term, because one game week of information sometimes isn't enough. So I'd be curious to know what you've done with your wildcard. Who would you start out of Porro, Murillo, Nico Williams, Reynaldo? Well, I would start Murillo. I'd start Nico Williams. And I'd probably start Reynaldo. And I'd probably bench Porro in that case. But I'd go in that order that I specified. Would you start Tosin over Dewsbury Hall? I actually would, yes. Is Gyökeres a good choice for captain? Yeah. I mean, he's like my top 2 captaincy pick. I think I'd go Haaland first, but if you want to go Gyökeres and you think he's on penalties, like go for it. Slam that captaincy down. Bench one of Ait Nuris, Williams, Richards, Estev. I would bench Williams, probably. Lakra, Munoz, and Essie are United defender. Munoz, right? Why Palmer captain? I think it's a bit of a 50-50 with Salah in terms of like the projected kind of value of it. And I would just simply go Palmer because I kind of like the risk. Like I kind of like taking it up on EO. So yeah. Good luck, everyone. Good luck to all of you guys as well. Glasner said that Richards and Tyrick Mitchell will get a rest versus Nottingham Forest. Sorry, is this true? That's not possible, right? I thought Richards and Tyrick Mitchell got a rest in the playoff game. So why are they getting another rest? Hold on, let me check. Yeah, Richards didn't play in that game. And Tyrick Mitchell didn't play. No, surely they're playing this weekend. How am I not tired of answering the same questions? Because sometimes there's a different one, and that stimulates me. The game went into update. Are you being serious? Be serious. Okay. I've just been trolled. Nice. Juve or Van de Ven? Probably Juve, just because attacking returns both have a pretty bad game on paper. What's up, GC Joe? Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Gyökeres 90 minutes. I kind of think it's 80 plus, but I can't guarantee 90. Like you still have Marino there, etc. Thomas, can you please answer opinion on bench boost with Dubravka, Porro, Diouf, and Strand Larson? I don't love it, if I'm honest. Have you already answered start Dubravka for Bruggen? Yeah, it's Dubravka for me. Talk us through Sanchez Dubravka. I think it's a true 50-50. Market odds are, I think, favoring Burnley by 1%. And then, honestly, there's not going to be a huge difference in terms of saves, right? I think it's going to be like arguments like, were you really enthused with West Ham's performance on an attacking perspective versus Sunderland? And is that going to move the needle for you as a 50-50? Or, I don't know, let's say you weren't impressed by Burnley, who were expected to concede plenty of chances anyways, and they did. Does that suddenly move the needle in terms of Sunderland at home being a really good game? So it's little things like that, right? Game went to an update before new UI. No, none would believe it, but with that new UI, anything can happen. Yeah, the new UI is an interesting way to put it. New. Fran, can you please answer who to start, one of the Kuiper, Diouf, O'Brien? Probably O'Brien. What are my thoughts on your captain? You've got Holland as well. Um, I personally think Holland's my top captaincy option because I think he just gives you a lot of intangibles and guarantees. But I think York is close. And honestly, if you have a lot of confidence in, like, let's say Leeds being a bit overrated, then yeah, just slam an Arsenal captaincy here. OP Talent, thank you so much for the super chat. Munoz, Milenkovic, Tosin, Porro, Estev, Verbruggen, and Dubravka can't pick, so you're going to bench boost with you. Fair enough. Sunderland forwards 1 to 2 points each week anyway. Saves hassle planning bench boost late. I think that's okay. If you want a bench boost now, I can understand it. I will just say it doesn't look like a great bench boost, unfortunately, if you're still going to bench boost with you. But take that as you will, right? If you still want to go for it, you don't want to deal with the hassle of a bench boost, I can understand it. Am I going Sanchez over Dubravka? Yes, I am. I'm just going to back Chelsea tonight. I kind of think it makes sense. Palmer captain is something, proper feast or famine decision. Well, I was in a massive famine for several months last season, so why not? Why not start the famine early? Best 5 million midfielder or below, considering you have to play him this week. 5 million or below. I mean, I guess Pat Matasar is interesting with the Eze news, right? But the transfer market hasn't closed and Spurs can go for another player. So I kind of think Dewsbury Hall is still pretty solid. Am I a Real Madrid fan? I am indeed. Yes, my sort of father's side of the family are all based in Madrid. Although I did grow up in Hong Kong just naturally. Hey, Fran, please help Reinders / Anderson / Rutter bench one. I would probably bench Anderson if I'm honest. I'd still chance it with Rutter. Watkins captain. Nothing wrong with Watkins captain. Is he one of my favorite picks? No, but I'm gonna have to put you in timeout as well. Hello, Fran. How are you? Play Anderson or Murillo? I would play Murillo. Hey, Fran, Porro or Richards? I would definitely play Richards. Would you start Strand Larson over Anderson? Absolutely, I would play Strand Larson and take that chance. Hey, Fran, Porro or Richards? I've answered that already. Captain Jao Pedro or Palmer? I would take Palmer. Take the penalty taker most instances. Rutter or Njai? I would take Njai in this case. Why not start Porro? Just backing Porro to concede, not really expecting a lot of attacking returns for Man City away. Pretty much the decision spurred on by clean sheet odds, right? Top 3 favorite FPL consecrators. I don't really want to pick 3. I mean, there's so many who do different things that are really good and for different reasons. Like, for example, I don't know, if you look at FPL Juice, like their show is really, really interactive, really fun. Would I say it's kind of built to make better decisions? Like, no, right? But then the whole point is that it's fun, it's interactive, and you get to see like content creators different sides of them. Like FPL Focal, for example, like he just creates really specific content, like that 5 to 10 minute bite-sized video that's really well edited, really well curated. I think is great in terms of decision making. Like Harry just undeniably has great ranks. I know Raptor does slightly more long form kind of videos. So does Let's Talk FPL. It really just depends on what you're looking for from a content creation side, right? There's also people who are not as popular, not as large. Like FPL Mate, for example, like some of the he definitely creates his videos towards a casual audience, but is he engaging to listen to if I didn't know anything about FPL and I kind of just wanted some guy to entertain me for a week and like help me with making decisions along the way? Because for example, like he's taken a lot of effort to help improve in terms of like, I think last year he made a lot of content that was quite underrated around the fixture difficulty schedule. Not the fixture difficulty schedule, sorry, but in terms of the double game week schedule and things like that. And obviously like his like the quality product wise of his visuals are also like fantastic. So yeah, it really just depends on what you're looking for, right? And then what your level of engagement is and what the kind of content is created for. Fran might never have Palmer again. Well, come on, let's be honest. If I was never going to have Palmer again, it was last season, and I still have Palmer again. Should I sell Bowen to Wood? I don't think it makes a lot of sense. No, to bench boost, stop spamming. Agreed. I do need an admin quite badly, so yeah, if anyone can get in touch with me, much love. One of my bench boosting? Somewhere in the distant future. So yeah. 5 minutes, guys, lock those picks in. Absolutely. You know what I'll do, actually? During this 5-minute little segment here, gonna make a tweet about my team, right? So you guys populate questions in chat. I'll try to respond as soon as possible. But it's time to post the FPL team on the Twitter, on this Twitter space. Fran is in a different league. I appreciate that. I mean, it just really depends on what you want, right? Like, I'm sure there's ways I can improve, and honestly, I think part of it too is like, it is a bit difficult sometimes, especially with a full time job, and sometimes I get extremely busy, so I don't have the same time to interact all the time. Yeah, if you have 10 seconds to quickly look at your chat, is that a super chat? Sorry. Um, what's the message, E7? By the way, we're gonna blow our load early, right? Sanchez and Palmer nice and early in this game week. Game week 2 locked in. Oh god, it's kind of depressing that I have to kind of say that I did a move in in the first week of FPL, but I did do it. A bit different. Like I don't think I love the move, but I think this is a season where you can pay to be pretty aggressive, and I don't really think that my sort of perception of teams will change radically. Like I think if anything, I'm probably going to be making moves around game week 4, or I could be making a move next week if I choose to go into free at 4 strategy, for example. So, like I could go Dorgu conceivably next week from Estev, and then bin Estev off. Salah Cap, good luck. What did you study at uni work? I did law at uni, and then I did and I do accounting as full time now, as an auditor. Wildcard game week 4. That, I mean, that could also happen as well, right? Like if I think my team's in a terrible spot, I could wildcard game week 4, but I think free at game week 4 makes sense as well. And then I might miss up on Haaland, but you know, let it be. ACCA, yeah, ACA, or yeah, Nico or Poro. I'd play Nico, keeper change. I did make one change, but I didn't change the captaincy Alfie. I did say that though, didn't I? I said I was more likely to change the goalkeepers. You're lucky you didn't have Konsa, who decided to get a 3-match suspension. Yeah, that's tough, right? But at the same time, they probably should have conceded, so that would have made me even happier as a person. Fran, please answer me. I don't have Bruno, but you can see that you have him. Is it because I have a Bruno fan? No, I just think that he does really benefit from the DEFCON changes, pretty much, and should still get value from penalties and other things this year. Like he still racks up a lot of bonus points anyways. So yeah, like there's a lot of outcomes that are favorable towards United that still benefit Bruno, I think, long term. Nico Williams or De Kuiper? I would go Nico Williams. Captain Saka or Salah Palmer? I'd go Saka easily. Andrew, would you bench a Stev, Kudus, or Porro? I'd probably bench Porro in that situation. I would play Kudus because I think Porro can go into the negative, right? Like he could drop a 0-pointer, a 1-pointer, etc. Yeah. What made me land on Palmer captaincy? Honestly, it's just the chance to kind of bet against players. That's it. Why would Sesko be on pens? I never said Sesko's on pens. Am I confused? Saka beats Palmer fixtures wise easily. Yeah, I'd take Saka this week as a captaincy. Rinder's captain, I'm not doing it. But yeah, that's kind of the idea, right? If you look at the odds in terms of assists and goals combined, it's actually really close between the two. Also, when you add clean sheets. So at that point, it's a bit of 50-50. It's a good chance for me to go against the field, hopefully take a risky punt and not let it completely deck me in the forehead. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. I'm actually going to head straight into dinner now with some friends, but I'll also be watching the game on the mobile. And I have to say, I really, really need Chelsea to do well. So, Chelsea fan for tonight. That is it, though. Pens down. You're not spamming at all, cup of tea. Don't worry, my friend. I mean, spam is spam, right? Answering questions is answering questions. You got you with the mod. All right, JWavy. I'll take you up on that. Welcome to the moderation team, my friend. Sorry, replying to another. No, of course. Sorry, I must have missed that, McFred. Can't wait for more Palmer pain. We're gonna have it. Chelsea, my UK team. I guess so, actually. I mean, my favorite color is blue, and when I was a kid, I kind of liked Chelsea because they were blue. I wasn't massively into football because when you're in Hong Kong, you just can't really watch football. But yeah. Appreciate. Deadline not working again. Are you guys serious? No way. Is it gonna be like this? Do you actually think that that's just gonna be a permanent change? I think do you think that's a permanent change because they think that like they just don't want the website to encounter like a lot of errors and things like that? Or what do you guys think that is? Do you think, by the way, if you guys can subscribe, like the video, that'd be really helpful. Please answer Saka and Watkins to Sar and Haaland after deadline before the price change tonight. Um I think it makes sense, but I'm not in love with that move personally. I don't like it. I think they meant to do this. Is Hong Kong all about Man United? I mean, not really, but I mean, Man United did come and visit like at some point in my childhood, and that Asian tour was pretty popular, right? So that kind of popularized United amongst a lot of Asian fans. Apparently it's fixed now though. Yeah, okay, good.